A bridge in Machesney Park, Illinois. A blue Chevrolet Cruze sits in the darkness, hazard lights blinking, trunk open. A woman crouches behind it. An off-duty police dispatcher drives past, makes a mental note, circles back to help. But when she returns, the car is gone. The woman has vanished, 4 years and 3 months later. A courtroom in Winnebago County. The jury foreman stands. The defendant, a man named Todd Smith, stares straight ahead, expressionless. We, the jury, find the defendant, Todd Christopher Smith, guilty of first-degree murder. The woman on that bridge was 30-year-old Katrina Ashley Smith. The man convicted of killing her was her husband. But how did we get from a dark October night to a guilty verdict? The answer lies in two timelines, one that tracks Katrina's final hours, and another that follows the investigators who refuse to let her case go cold. This is the story of what happened, and what came after. October 22nd starts like any other Monday for Katrina Smith. The alarm goes off in her new apartment, a place she moved into just weeks ago, finally leaving the marriage that had been suffocating her for years. For the first time in a long time, she wakes up with something she hasn't felt in years: hope. She gets ready for work at Cameron Industries in Belvedere, where she's a human resources coordinator. Her coworkers know her as competent, professional, someone who genuinely cares about solving problems and helping people. But they don't know the full story of what she's been going through at home. Today feels different, though. Hopeful. Because tomorrow, October 23rd, she has a job interview lined up. It's not just another job, it's a symbol, a fresh start, a future without Todd. A life where she gets to make her own decisions without someone tracking her every move. She goes through her day at work, probably thinking about what she'll wear to the interview, what questions they might ask, how this new opportunity could change everything. She's doing what people do when they're moving forward, making plans, setting goals, believing in tomorrow. But first, there's one mundane task she needs to handle. She needs to go back to the house one more time. The house she shared with Todd for 7 years, to do laundry, to pick up a few remaining belongings. Just one last ordinary errand, in and out. Nothing complicated. Katrina doesn't know it, but this simple decision, to go back to that house one more time, will cost her everything. The next morning, a call comes into the Machesney Park police. Todd Smith reports his estranged wife missing. She never came home last night, he says. He sounds worried, concerned, like any husband would be. But Katrina's job interview is in 30 minutes, and the HR manager waiting for her will sit alone in that conference room, checking her watch, wondering why this promising candidate never showed up. Katrina will never make it to that interview. Let's rewind. Katrina leaves work around 6 p.m. She drives to the house she used to share with Todd. It's awkward coming back here, but it's temporary. Just laundry, just picking up some belongings. She tells Todd about the interview tomorrow. He nods. What is he thinking in that moment? Is he already planning, or does the idea come later? Around 9 p.m., Katrina finishes what she came to do. She gets into her blue Chevrolet Cruze. She drives away from that house for the last time. But she doesn't go home. Police locate Katrina's car in the Obispo and Ventura area of Machesney Park. It's been abandoned. And when investigators look inside, what they find makes this case take a dark turn. A blood-stained towel in the vehicle, blood in the trunk liner, her jacket, shopping bags, her backpack. Everything is there except Katrina. The question investigators need answered: Where did Katrina go between 9 p.m. and 11:20 p.m.? What happened in those 2 hours and 20 minutes? This is the gap in the timeline, the black hole, the missing hours that would become the focus of the entire investigation. What we know for certain is this. Katrina leaves the house around 9 p.m., her laundry done, her belongings gathered. At 11:20 p.m., 2 hours and 20 minutes later, a dispatcher sees her car on the bridge, trunk open, Katrina crouched behind it. But what happened in between? Where did those hours go? The prosecution would later construct this timeline. Todd, using GPS tracking technology he'd installed, follows Katrina's movements in real time. He watches the dot on his screen. He knows exactly where she is. He's been doing this for weeks, maybe months, watching, waiting, planning. When Katrina leaves the house at 9 p.m., Todd is ready. He follows her. Maybe she stops somewhere. We'll never know for sure. Maybe she drives around, enjoying her freedom, thinking about tomorrow's interview. Maybe she's completely unaware that she's being followed. Somewhere around 11 p.m., on that bridge in McChesney Park, Todd confronts her. There's a struggle. He has brought the aluminum baseball bat. Whether he planned to use it or grabbed it in rage, we'll never know. The medical examiner would later determine that Katrina died from blunt force trauma to the head. Multiple blows, severe injuries. She didn't die instantly. She suffered. The dispatcher who saw the car at 11:20 p.m., what was she witnessing? Was Katrina still alive at that moment, trying to defend herself? Was she already dead, and the dispatcher saw Todd staging the scene? Or was it something in between? Those final, desperate moments. Whatever the exact sequence, by the time the dispatcher circled back to help, it was over. Todd had moved Katrina's body to his vehicle. He would soon drive to the Rock River and dispose of her in the water. He would scatter her belongings to make it look like she'd simply walked away from her life. And then, the next morning, he would call police to report his estranged wife missing, playing the concerned husband, the worried spouse, the innocent man. The investigation intensifies as the hours tick by. Katrina has been missing for less than 24 hours, but detectives already have a bad feeling. The blood in her car, the staged abandonment, the scattered belongings. Nothing about this looks like a woman who chose to disappear. Over the next 3 days, search teams comb through the area surrounding where Katrina's car was found. They're looking for anything, any clue that might explain what happened to her. October 24th. A detective searching the bushes near a residential road finds something that makes his stomach drop. Katrina's cell phone. It's been thrown, or carefully placed, under a bush. The screen is dark. The battery dead. Why would Katrina throw away her phone? If she was starting a new life, wouldn't she need it? To call potential employers, to stay in touch with family. Unless, of course, she didn't throw it away. Unless someone else did. Someone trying to prevent her from calling for help. That same day, investigators find her wallet, discovered separately from the phone, in a different location, and her purse items, scattered like breadcrumbs across McChesney Park, each one a piece of Katrina's life, discarded. But the most disturbing discovery comes on October 26th. Bloody paper towels found near where Katrina's car had been abandoned. Someone tried to clean up. Someone tried to wipe away evidence. But blood is stubborn. It leaves traces. The paper towels are rushed to the forensic lab. DNA analysis is conducted. The results come back quickly. Katrina Smith cannot be excluded as a contributor to the blood on these paper towels. More blood. More evidence of violence. More proof that something terrible happened to Katrina Smith. Each piece of evidence tells part of the story. The blood in the car, violence in her vehicle, the phone in the bushes, preventing a call for help, the wallet discarded, making it look like she left voluntarily, the paper towels, attempted cleanup, consciousness of guilt. This isn't a missing person case anymore. Every detective working it knows what they're really looking for now. They're looking for Katrina's body. 18 agonizing days after Katrina disappeared, the call comes in. A body has been discovered in the Rock River near Byron, Illinois, about 15 miles from where her car was found abandoned. Search and rescue teams had been combing the waterways for weeks. Family members had been holding on to hope. Maybe she was injured somewhere, suffering from amnesia, alive but lost. The church community had been praying for a miracle. Friends had been sharing her photo constantly on social media, desperate for any lead. But now, that hope dies. The Winnebago County Medical Examiner is called to the scene. The body is recovered from the river, waterlogged, damaged by time and elements. But dental records and other identifying features confirm what investigators already suspected in their hearts. It's Katrina. An autopsy is performed immediately. The medical examiner documents the injuries meticulously. The finding is devastating but clear. Cause of death: blunt force trauma to the head. The injuries are consistent with being struck multiple times by a heavy object. The force required was significant. This was violent. This was brutal. Katrina Ashley Smith, 30 years old, who woke up on October 22nd with hope for a better future, who had a job interview she would never make it to, who loved yellow carnations and volunteering with children. She didn't disappear. She didn't run away. She didn't abandon her life. She was murdered. And now the investigation transforms from a missing person case into a homicide. Now detectives need to prove who killed her, and they already have a primary suspect. With a homicide confirmed, detectives obtain search warrants for the home Todd and Katrina shared. What they find there will build the case against him, piece by piece. In the garage, a pair of boots, wet, covered in debris. The kind of mud and vegetation you'd pick up walking through rough terrain to a river. The kind of evidence that places someone at a disposal site. And then they find it, an aluminum baseball bat. The bat is tested. Presumptive tests for blood come back positive. DNA analysis is conducted on a spot found on the bat. The results are conclusive. Katrina Smith's DNA is on this bat. The defense will later argue it's touch DNA, innocent transfer from casual contact, but prosecutors see something else. Combined with the autopsy showing blunt force trauma, they believe they've found the murder weapon. But let's go back further in the timeline. To understand what happened on October 22nd, we need to understand what was building in the weeks and months before. We need to see the pattern. Several months before her death, Katrina arrives at work at Cameron Industries to find something that makes her blood run cold. Hundreds of flyers scattered around her workplace, posted on poles, left on windshields in the parking lot, distributed in the area where her coworkers would see them. The language on these flyers is vulgar, explicit, designed specifically to humiliate and shame. They accuse Katrina of having an affair. They use crude language about her personal life. They're calculated to destroy her professional reputation and embarrass her in front of the people she works with every day. Imagine arriving at work and seeing your most private affairs, real or invented, plastered across your workplace for everyone to see. Imagine your coworkers reading these accusations, your boss seeing them, the shame, the humiliation, the violation. Katrina is mortified. She doesn't know who did this. She suspects, of course. But suspicion isn't proof. This is what's called a campaign of psychological warfare. It's designed to punish Katrina for leaving, to make her life miserable, to make her question whether the freedom of separation is worth the cost of public humiliation. But who would do something like this? Who had the motive, the means, and the obsession to create hundreds of flyers and distribute them around Katrina's workplace. Detectives seize Todd's computer. Digital forensic experts go to work. They examine something most people don't even know exists: the hyperfill, the hibernation file where computers store snapshots of screen activity. And there, in that digital snapshot, they find it. Traces of the exact same vulgar language from those flyers, the exact same phrases, the exact same accusations. Todd created those flyers. Todd distributed them. Todd tried to destroy Katrina's reputation when he couldn't control her anymore. But the computer reveals something even more disturbing. The deeper forensic analysts dig into Todd's computer, the clearer the picture becomes. Evidence suggests GPS tracking devices were being used to monitor Katrina's whereabouts. Think about that. While Katrina was trying to start a new life, someone was watching her every move, digitally following her, knowing exactly where she was at all times. Now those missing hours make more sense. Prosecutors theorize that when Katrina left the house at 9 p.m., Todd was tracking her. He knew exactly where she was going. He followed her. And on that bridge, he confronted her. The dispatcher who saw the car at 11:20 p.m. may have witnessed the aftermath. Katrina's car with the trunk open. Katrina crouched behind it. Was she trying to defend herself? Was she already injured? By the time the dispatcher circled back, it was too late. Todd had already moved her body, already started covering his tracks. As investigators dig deeper into Todd's past, a pattern emerges. Todd Christopher Smith wasn't always Todd Christopher Smith. He previously went by Todd Rapperger before legally changing his name. His first wife comes forward with allegations of controlling behavior during their marriage. It's not just Katrina. This is a pattern that spans years, spans relationships. By the time prosecutors build their case, they have physical evidence, digital evidence, and a clear motive: a controlling man who couldn't accept that his wife was leaving him. More than 4 years after Katrina's murder, Todd Smith faces trial. Lead prosecutor Marilyn Height Ross presents the state's case methodically, building layer upon layer of evidence. The blood in Katrina's car, the DNA on the baseball bat, the wet boots covered in river debris, the GPS tracking, the harassment campaign, the pattern of control. The prosecution's narrative is clear. Todd tracked Katrina's movements, confronted her on that bridge, beat her to death, disposed of her body in the river, staged her car to look abandoned, and scattered her belongings to create the illusion of disappearance. The defense fights hard. They challenge the GPS evidence. They argue the DNA could be touch transfer. They point out no eyewitnesses placed Todd at the scene. They argue reasonable doubt. But there's one voice that may have resonated most powerfully with the jury. Todd's own daughter, Paige. Paige knew Katrina. Katrina had been her stepmother, part of her life. And Paige knew one thing with certainty. Katrina would never just leave without saying goodbye. She wouldn't abandon her stepdaughters. She wouldn't vanish without a word. When Katrina disappeared, Paige refused to believe she'd simply run away. And as the evidence mounted, as the truth became undeniable, Paige faced an impossible choice. After hearing all the evidence, the jury deliberates. And when they return, their verdict is unanimous: guilty of first-degree murder. Judge Fernando Engelsma presides over sentencing. State's Attorney Joe Bruscato announces the sentence: 59 years in prison, 55 years for murder, plus 4 consecutive years on related charges. For Todd Smith, now in his 50s, it's essentially a life sentence. He will likely die in prison. After the conviction, Paige makes her own decision. She cuts off all contact with her father. It's a heartbreaking footnote to an already tragic story. The legal battle doesn't end with the verdict. Todd's attorneys file appeals, challenging the admission of the other act's evidence and the GPS testimony. They argue the flyers, the prior allegations, the harassment campaign. None of it should have been heard by the jury. In 2020, the Illinois Appellate Court issues its decision, conviction affirmed. The court finds the trial judge did not abuse discretion in allowing the other act's evidence. It was relevant to motive. The GPS testimony issues didn't warrant reversal. Even in 2023, more than a decade after Katrina's murder, Todd's legal team continues filing motions. Another attempt at a new trial hits a procedural roadblock, but it demonstrates that for some defendants, the fight never truly ends. For Katrina's family, each legal filing reopens wounds. Each appeal is another news story, another walk through the evidence, another reminder of what was stolen from them that October night. Let's go back one more time to October 22, 2012. To the morning when Katrina was still alive, when she still had hope for tomorrow's interview, when she still believed in fresh starts. Katrina Ashley Smith was born July 16, 1982, in Elkhorn, Wisconsin. She was known for her warm smile, her genuine love for people, especially children, and her deep faith that she lived through service. She volunteered at Heartland Community Church, working with children's ministries. She loved photography, gardening, especially yellow carnations, and cheering for the Chicago Bears. She was the friend who remembered your birthday, the coworker who checked on you during tough times. She deserved the future she was building, the job interview she never made it to, the life free from control and fear. Today, Katrina's church community continues honoring her memory through the children's ministry she loved. Yellow carnations still appear at memorials in her name. Her family holds tight to memories of her smile, her warmth, her unwavering faith. But her story is also a warning. Separation is often the most dangerous time for victims of controlling partners. The statistics are sobering. When someone tries to leave an abusive relationship, the risk of violence doesn't decrease, it spikes. The warning signs were there, the monitoring, the harassment campaign, the refusal to accept the relationship was over. These aren't just relationship problems, they're predictors of violence. Two timelines tell this story. Timeline A shows us who Katrina was, a woman full of hope, planning for tomorrow, trying to move forward with her life. Timeline B shows us what happened after, the investigation that wouldn't quit, the evidence that built piece by piece, the justice system that ultimately held her killer accountable. Both timelines lead to the same truth. On October 22, 2012, Katrina Smith's future was stolen from her, but her memory endures in the hearts of those who loved her, in the children she mentored, in the lives she touched through simple acts of kindness. Katrina Ashley Smith, born July 16, 1982, taken October 22, 2012. May her memory be a blessing, and may her story save someone else's life.